title of this lesson is The Wicked Work Together in Unity Against Righteousness. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well through the Spirit. And a mighty shalom to the hopeful elect in the same Spirit, Lord willing as a whole, that you all continue in sound doctrine. Shalom to the Akwaf, the sister of his faith and his truth. Lord willing that you continue to pursue your lot, which is being a loving and silent and virtuous wife. And Lord willing, this is an edifying lesson through the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Again, the title of this lesson is The Wicked Work Together in Unity Against the Righteous. Now, yes, they might have odds. They might work against each other sometimes, be competing, which we see that in all nations. But the end result is them to be against righteousness. This is St. John chapter 14, verse 30. Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh and have nothing in me. And truly, even in the time of Yahushua, being on the earth at that time, Rome was ruling, but the nation that was ruling was the Edomites. And even later on in the continuation of Rome, when the Renaissance come into play, the rebirth, the Edomites will be ruling when Yahushua returns. And they don't have nothing in Yahushua. In this video that you've seen is, Rothschild, the father, was speaking to his 5 sons and about, speaking about the 5 banks in London. And of course, what he's saying is very plain and it actually happened. But what stuck out to me, he said, be in unity. We know unity means agreement, one accord, one mind. So I started to think the wicked work together in unity. Okay. But we see through precepts, a lot of things that they do is going to be against the righteous. So even though the wicked may argue, compete, seem divided when it comes to power, oppression, or fighting Yahweh's people, they unite. Just like today's elite, governments, bankers, military powers, and corporations, through the Spirit, is all directed to be against the righteous. Okay, so now let's slide over to Psalms chapter 2, and let's read verse 1 and 3. Why do the heathen rage, and the people imagine a vain thing? And the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together. When we go to Psalms 83, starting with Edom and all the other nations, they had a crafty counsel with each other against Yahweh and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Right? So kings and rulers are working together against Yahweh and Yahushai and his elect. This is unity in wickedness. This is why even in what you see in Genesis, but in this time, like when I think it's 2 Ezra 15, let me see. Let's just fact check that real quick. This is 2 Ezra, the 15th chapter, and verse 6 is the point. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. And the reason why wickedness have exceedingly polluted the earth, because the earth is given to the hands of the wicked. When you go to Malachi, which the nation of Edom is the borderline of wickedness. You can't even surpass that wickedness. But let's slide over to Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. And they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Okay? So Edom had confederate allies, nations working together for power. But we can even line that with Psalms 83. Starting at verse 2, for lo, thy enemies have make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, Ammon, Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot, Salah. Right, the top one is Edom. This fully hit the wave after 70 AD, because in multiple captivities that you see, you still had Jake that knew who they was. You still had Jake speaking the gospel and the truth. But you understand that we see the temples was the key, right? You got the tabernacle, you got the physical temple of Solomon destroyed by the Babylons, defiled by the Greeks. But before the Greeks, the Persians allowed us to rebuild the temple. Then later on, the Greeks, overpowered the Persians and they defiled the temple, which is another kind of form of, abomination to the temple. Then when you go into Roman captivity, they destroyed it in 70 AD. Yahushua prophesied before it came. They're always doing crafty counsel against the children of the Lord. Now, even rulers in ancient time knew who the children of the Lord were. Even when we go to the book of Judith, the 5th chapter, verse 17 to 24, nations knew who he was. So ain't nothing changed. Even in this ancient time, a lot of these kingdoms have ancient artifacts, who the Israelites are, who they were. So these elites, they tried with the crafty counsel, they really did complete, but it was really by Yahweh to make the remembrance of us be no more, where you don't see on somebody ID that they're a Hebrew Israelite unless they changed it, right? So Edom had confederates, right? Allies, nations working together for power. And this thing helped to bring forth these prophecies, just like, I believe, is it Jeremiah we want? Jeremiah 17:4. We got this point, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, right? The law, the land, right? And many other things. And I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever, right? And this is all through Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, right? Isaiah 65:15. And ye shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen, for Yahweh Shemashai power shall slay thee and call his servants by another name. And when we go to Deuteronomy, even in different captivities, that byword, right, proverbs and bywords, that followed us. And even into America, we had to deal with byword names. Afro-American, Black, African-American, all these different names. But this was the result, right? It even says in 2nd Ezra, I believe the 2nd chapter, verse 7. It says, let them be scattered abroad among the heathen. Let their names be put out of the earth, for they have despised my covenant, right? So through the Spirit, because we were rejecting the Lord was going to have our name removed from out of the earth. I want to get another point. When you go, I think this is the verse we want, because he started calling the Israelites heathens. So 2nd Ezra 2:33, I, Ezra, received the charge of Yahweh Shemashai upon Mount Horeb, that I should go unto Israel. But when I came unto them, they set me at naught and despised the commandment of Yahweh Shemashai. And therefore I say unto you, O ye heathen, that hear and understand, look for your shepherd. He shall give you everlasting rest, for he is nigh at hand, that shall come in the end of the world. This was speaking about the shepherd is Yahweh Shai. When he said, O heathen, he was speaking about Israel, because they despise the commandments of the Lord and they rather cleave to the ways of the freaking heathen. Right? It's another example of Jake being called a heathen. And it's another example what verse 7 is. Our names was removed from out of the earth. And this was all by Yahweh Shema Shai. Even when you apply it to the three holy children, what thou hast done unto us is true judgment. Okay, let's go to Proverbs chapter 1. And let's read verse 10. It says, my son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come with us, let us lay wait for blood. Let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them up alive in the grave and whole as those that go down into a pit. We shall find all precious substance. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in thy lot among us. Let us all have one purse. Are you kidding me? Wicked people unite for money, power, and gain. Sound like today's elite, right? Even when you go to Habakkuk and Nahum, I think is it Nahum 3? Nahum 3:1. Woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robberies. The prey departeth not. Okay. So even if we try to slide over and go to, because I want to make this point, because the wicked did this. This is Micah chapter 2 and verse 1 and 2. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. And when the morning is light, they practice it, because it is the power of their hands. So it's woe unto them that do this. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his inheritance. Well, it's nations that did this over and over again. But verse 1 said, woe unto them. So woe to them that oppress a man in his house, even a man in his inheritance. But let's get another account, because somebody's going to have to take account for that record. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 6. Shall now all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay? And shall they not rise up suddenly, that shall bite thee, and awake, that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and of the violence of the land and the city, and of all that dwell therein. Right? Woe to him that coveteth in evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. But again, going back to where it said, woe to him that increase that which is not his. What is another account when you go to Ezekiel, the 36th chapter? I believe it's verse 5, where it says, therefore thus saith Yahweh Shema Shai power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land, which is Yasharallah, Israel, into their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey. Idumea is a Greek word for Edom. Edom did this to our land, and it doesn't belong to them. And it shows the example that the wicked work together in unity, because it really got established even more in the 48, what they call the 48ers, when they over here and took the land. Now you got Israel called the state of Israel. It was never called that in the scriptures. The wicked work together. Now you might be blind and can't see it, because you need the scriptures to analyze it. Right? They have to cover up things that they have done, wicked things, things that's easy for Jake to see. But guess what? They fall in themselves again and again with these TV shows, with these movies, with social media, with the internet, where things is just flowing and we're able to get this information. So when you understand that wicked people are united for money, power, and gain. Sound like today's elite. So if they had a crafty counsel with our name being removed, it kind of makes sense when you think about them taking our name and they calling themselves the people. It helps it helps for the distraction, but it helps to make a mirage or illusion, which the illusion is they're the people and those people are not. But the Lord is allowing them to fall on the sword spiritually when you go to, because one thing that they're not doing, they're not prophesying. So the Lord is allowing these to come out, and it's kind of revealing who they is, especially when you go to verse 2 to 3 on down. They kind of reveal themselves. But this is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 8. It says, then shall the wicked be revealed, whom Yahweh Shemashai shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Now, making it plain for you guys, when you go to Malachi, which is future, which is speaking at that moment, and just Edom as a whole, Edom is the borderline of wickedness. So when we understand, when it comes to prophecies of end times, he had a veil over him. But it was really, when you look at prophecy for the Israelites, Jake was in a dead estate. If we wasn't in a dead estate, we would kind of understand who Edom was, right? And if we knew history, we would know, yo, Edom, they rule Rome. But because of being in a dead estate, now we have to read. Now we have to investigate. And now Esau has a veil. He got a new name, Caucasus Mountain, Caucasian, this and this and that. Oh, that's a European. Those are not Edomites. Those are European Edomites, and this and that. And there's so many difference this and this difference of that. It kind of make an illusion that, you know what, the Edomites might not be real, or these people might not be real. But their actions and what they do has been revealed throughout the whole earth, especially when we just went in Micah 2 verse 1 and 2, Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 6 and 8, and Ezekiel 36 and 5, because there's only two nations kind of fighting over the land of Israel. You got Arabs, and then truly you have Edomites, okay? But truly the wicked are in one consent. The wicked have one goal. They want world domination. They want power. Let's go to Luke, the 23rd chapter, in verse 12. I'll start at verse 11. It says, Herod with his men of war set him at naught, and mocked him, and arrayed him in a gorgeous robe, and sent him again to Pilate. And the same day Pilate and Herod were made friends together. For before they were at enmity between themselves. Herod is an Idumean. Polite is an Idumean, right? But Polite is really a Roman, right? And Herod became a damn king of the Jews, really part of the Herodians. Pilate is a Rome. Herod is an Israelite ruler under Rome occupation, but they're both Edomites. The same thing that I said, that people of power can be in competition. They can disagree at sometimes. But at the end of the day, they're going to get power, gain, money, the same. And sometimes they're going to come together and try to make amends. Okay? They hated each other, but became friends to kill Yahweh Shai. Okay? And I even read in the NLT, it says, then Herod and his soldiers began mocking and ridiculing Yahweh Shai. Finally, they put a royal robe on him and sent him back to Pilate. Herod and Pilate, who had been enemies before, became friends that day. So the difference disappears when it came to wickedness, right? Wickedness, the wicked can be enemies with each other, which is true. Like you see Donald Duck and Putin, but you still see that they're somewhat kind of in somewhat form of cool. None of them is, if they got power to do this and do that, none of them is really going against the elites that be. Because when you really see World War III or like World War I, World War II, those elite, they push the button. It had to happen. It was really Yahweh, right? And even on this side, the elites, things don't move unless it go through them. Okay? So let's slide over to Revelations, the 17th chapter, in verse 12. It says, "In the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast," which is the beast as a whole is a system. "These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength to the beast," which is Rome technically. The reflection is Rome as a whole. But when you look at the 10 horns, that is really NATO and EU, the European Union, the revival, and the different kings and nations, but one mind in wicked system. So even with America being a whore, you got the 7 heads and the 10 horns. It's really a system, just one-minded, right? But in the mix of these, well, with the NATO and the 7 heads in America, you have an elite that's really the kings, or, the princes, or those that are in high power that's orchestrating this whole system, right? Because America's supposed to be the face of the earth. It's really the elites that's ruling, right? This is the elite global power structure. Even when you see World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, a lot of these things that deal with certain things globally, it all goes to the elite. Banking, money, currency, market, trading, social media, gas, gold, silver. That all goes back to the elites, right? Because like in a business, all things go back to, you got the manager, the supervisor, but then you got somebody that's an owner. You got the CEO. It's levels to it. But then you got the top person of the business. Okay, this is St. John chapter 11, verse 47. "Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, What do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. Then the Romans shall come and take away both our place and our nation." They was afraid because this goes back into the Greek captivity. Before things started to get real, the Israelites made in like a covenant or made an oath or a treaty with Rome. So if something happened, if Rome go to war, then the Israelites, they would have to go because they became a friend with Rome. And then the same, if Israel, boom, 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 they would have their back. But eventually Rome went against this, especially when we look at 70 AD. They reneged on that damn covenant. That's why Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, verse 10, never trust thy enemy, right? Because he gets more wicked, just like metal can get more rusty. Verse 49, "And one of the names, Capheus, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, Ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. In this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahushua should die for the nation, and not for the nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of God that were scattered abroad. Then from that day forth, they took counsel together for to put him to death." Now that really sound like they understood, but they didn't want to accept it because they love their power. They love their power seat. Just like when the Apostle Tahar said, even Polite understood that they were kind of jealous, afraid because they're followers and people following them, that they'll lose their status. Okay. But if they let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. That's what they were saying. Okay. So the Pharisees and rulers, they gathered together, religious leaders and political power united to kill Yahushua. So let's slide over to Ephesians, the 6th chapter, which this is for all Israel, even Yahushua. Ephesians 6 and 12, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So even if the left-hand side of Yahweh, they're dealing with the darkness, that sit in a high seat, right? The rulers that sit in a high seat in darkness in this world. Those are the elites. And really, these type of darkness that we dealing with, these are not people that you just see that want attention. Those that want to be on TV. These is ones that don't care because they got all the power. I don't need validation from these people. I'm behind the scene. Wicked rulers working together in darkness. And of course, they got their minions. This is why you're able to see Donald Trump. You're able to see Barack Obama. You're able to see George Bush. They got them in the front line because in the ancient world, and even, in the 1700s and stuff, when they did war, you got the men in the front line, the back line. And then, of course, sometimes the top guy, either if it was a governor or the president, he would be on the battlefield too, on his horse. But now we in this new age, the wicked got more smarter and creative on the left-hand side. They're not going to be on the battlefield. They're already setting up every motion and every move. Okay? I had another precept in mind, but I kind of lost it in my head. So let's go to 1 Maccabees chapter 1 in verse 41 to 43. It says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. This is history, but history is going to repeat itself in this time soon. How they're going to try to make us be one people, especially with the charagma, with this new system, the beast system, where everybody, four corners of the earth, is going to have to be united with this system. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandments of the king. Revelations 13, verse 15, all the way to 18 kind of show you we will all have to leave our laws, our cultures, to follow this new system, technically. Yet many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. So what happened in that time, in the Romans' time, guess what? In this time, it's going to be even greater. And there's going to be some coons that's going to consent, that are going to take this charagma because they still want to buy and sell. They still want bread and circus. So this is going to be called forced unity. Wicked empire controlling nations. They got control, but they want total control. Where you got your own point of view, you got your own point of view. No, we want to be on one accord. And this is how you know in righteousness, we supposed to be in one accord. You got the wicked over here trying to be on one accord, right? I got to go to another one in the Apocrypha, Salaki. 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, verse 37, it says, behold, the plagues draw nigh, and they are not slack. True. And really, this whole chapter shows rulers oppressing people together. Because when you go to verse 68, it says, for behold, the burning wrath of the great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle, with things offered unto idols. Now, this is not pork no more. It's not lobster, crab, and shrimp. You naturally doing this daily, Jake, right? But this is going into the MOTB. This is the new idol, money. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in a reproach and trodden underfoot, because there's going to be a lot of people that's going to rebel against this system. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection, civil war upon those that fear Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. It always ends with those that fear Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. That's the main objective. For Esau to get they birthright back, they will have to either destroy all Israel or try to get all Israel to kneel to this system, which scripture-wise and prophecy, it won't happen. 71, and they shall be like mad men, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. One day you're going to see the real movement of an Edomite. We're going to really be in that wave one day. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. And when we slide back and you go to the classic in Revelations 12:12, therefore rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he knoweth that he have but a short time. When we go back to Revelations 11, even before you got the breath of life, he already been moving in motion because he has a short time. But now that you have the breath of life, he's on overtime. And then he's gonna come on great wrath like a madman, because he know he has a short time and he's not gonna spare none. That's like somebody in the fourth corner. I'm about to go super clutch. He's about to be a madman and think he's about to come and save his kingdom. But that's why the kingdom is gonna have to get worse. And that's the sign for the elect to know it's over. But for them, this kingdom is still going. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 10. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Let our strength be the law of justice. For that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn. He is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraids us with our offending the law, and objects to our infaming the transgressings of our education. He professed to have the knowledge of the Most High. He called himself the children of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and he was made to reprove our thoughts. Okay, now we could keep on going. That's a beautiful chapter. So let us, right, the wicked working as a group. Now we could use this even for Israelites, because you even had Israelites. What was they doing in the time of Jeremiah? Trying to come against Jeremiah. They wanted to kill him, put him in prison. The same thing with in the time of the apostles. Okay, you had some that was cleaving to the ways of Rome, and they're Israelites. Man, let me look for him. Oh man, Paul, he's not a Pharisee no more. Oh man, let's go look for him. But then imagine that spirit that's on the other nations is going to be even more vicious, right? So every empire had different cultures, different rulers, but same wicked stature. But of course it became greater, especially when you look at the Greeks and the Romans. Their wickedness is going to overexceed because they're Edomites. They're the borderline of wickedness, starting with the foundation of the Greek Empire, the foundation of Rome, because really those supposed to be Japhite descendants. But Esau did what it says in Job. They went to and fro. But the Lord made all this happen because majority of the Edomites at the time of their fall, what we see in Malachi, that they were going to flee to the mountains, and they flee to the European mountains. So the Lord was already showing that Europe was going to be the destination of where majority of the Edomites were going to be, and then they were going to root out and go and build the desolate places in Europe, in other lands, Canada, America. And it was this video I watched on TikTok where they were expounding on London, England, Paris, where all these, even going back to, going back to Italy, when Christopher Columbus decided to come over here. And when other these Edomite, people started to know, like England, France, and they was like, oh, they over there? Man, we gonna have to get over there. We got to get a portion of the land. They wasn't even thinking about the East Coast. I mean, they was, but they was thinking about this new found land, because now if it's new, it's gonna be something there that's probably not over here. Let's go call dibs. When you really understand the process of America becoming what it was, how these powers came to be, you gotta go in the Bible, man. And this is how Esau hid himself between all these power structures, all these freaking different names. So what did these empires do? They enslave, they tax heavily. When you go to Luke, the 2nd chapter, what did Caesar Augustus do in the time of Yahushai, the birth of Yahushai? He taxed Israel. And in the time in the Greeks, with Alexander, they wasn't to be taxed. And then you had, like, I think the like going into the Roman captivity, you had some Greek kings, like the sons of Antiochus, that decided to not tax Israel, but then eventually they reneged on it, right? But that was a form of letting us all know we were under tribute because we were paying taxes. So all nations was heavily taxed. But Israelites, you're supposed to be free. Controlled religion, right? In the ancient world, but let's compare this to this time. When America came, they started to tell you what to teach. Then they try to orchestrate a new Bible called a slave Bible and try to get things for you to teach to make this slavery seem good. They never had you really breaking down prophecies to tell you why this freaking happened. They wanted to find a way to control you so you wouldn't rebel. This is why the church is the way it is now, with the shabba-dabba ding-dong, speaking in wabba-labba-loo or wop-bamboo, and then doing the Harlem Shake in the church. Controlled trade. That merchant trading here, trading there, that all started with them organizing. This whole empire system came off of thinking. Babylon thinking. The Assyrians, the Persians, Medes, the Greeks, the Romans, it all came by thinking, putting great minds alike. Now, yes, great minds came alike, and then probably somebody didn't like them. What they do to Caesar? All them senates started stabbing them to death. We want somebody new. We can't control him. Okay? But over the years and times, rulership got better. America had people that was assassinated. You haven't seen that one king get assassinated since back then. Yeah, Donald Trump with his little fake shot in the air. But no president has been getting it because it's already orchestrated now. We getting people we want in. So control trades, united armies. This is why even in this time, you got nations having allies. Even in the ancient world, where some people would say, like a video I watched, some nations were upset of the allies of America because America was so strong because of their allies. So Rome even used other nations' soldiers, allies. Going back to Psalms 83, this is why certain nations was able to push certain things, because of having that confederate with nations. And it makes your power strong when you have, look, if you join my coalition, I'm going to give you that. But if you join, I'm going to need about 70,000 of your soldiers at any beck and time. Okay, I agree. Throw 15,000 shackles. Throw 15 shackles of silver and gold. Making a type of bargain. But the same thing today is happening with NATO in the UN, the United Nations. Right? The banks and the corporations. This is a whole system. So the wicked may fight amongst themselves and compete for wealth, but what? When the righteous rise, or Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai's people are awakened, they unite instantly. So when we look at this Revelations, right? What is it? 11 and 11, and Wisdom of Solomon 5 and 5. But let's just use this one. Revelation 11:11, it says, and after 3 days and a half, which is 350 years, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Right? They're going to be in fear. Oh, now they're getting nowhere. They're already seeing us week in, week out, day in, day out, year after year, teaching his word. The top elites going down the pyramid. They're telling, man, they're getting, but they're not making it known. They're not putting it, these Hebrew Israelites is learning. No, they got to put more distractions. Then you got YouTubers and streamers trying to debunk Hebrew Israelites or make skits about Hebrew Israelites. But the whole thing, the elites is trying to make this plot for their system, right? Soon as the famine of the word, that's part of their system. If they not preaching no more, they're not going to get them, because they're in a mission to think that they can get that birthright again, but they can't. So they unite instantly, just like Harad and Polite. When Yahushua was getting crucified, what? They became friends. The kings in Psalms, nations in Revelations, right? They unite. Hey, when you go to Revelation 17, right? Even the allies, right? They united with each other to go against the horde, right? Even though they already are together right now. Revelation 17, verse 16, it says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." So these allies, as a unit, is going to turn on the whore. That's unity, okay? The wicked are not truly divided. Their conflicts are mostly for show. What we see on TV, what you see America and Russia, is mostly for show. You got to know, they're actors. Ronald Reagan, he was an actor. They're all actors. We're even actors for Yahweh Shem Yahushai, but they're being actors. Because behind closed doors, they share wealth. They share power. They share control. Didn't this father just tell them? He said, if one of y'all being successful, you should be helping your other, right? No, one shouldn't be dealing with problems and being broke and poor, and one is being successful. Wouldn't make sense, because we're in unity. If we're in unity, if you slack, I'm about to make sure that I help out your slackness. Let's hear what he said in the video again.
I want you each to start a banking business in a different country. One to go and open a house in Paris, one in Vienna, one in London. Choose the most important centers, so that when money is to be sent from here to London, let us say, you won't have to risk life and gold. Temption, here in Frankfurt, will just send a letter to Nathan in London saying, pay so-and-so, and that will be offset by loans from London to Frankfurt. Understand? In your day, there will be many wars in Europe. A nation that have money to transport will come to the Rothschilds because it will be safe. Papa, you mustn't talk anymore. The doctor... I'm giving advice to our sons, Mama, that the doctor cannot give. Remember, unity is strength. All your lives you must stand by one another. No one brother must be allowed to fail while another brother succeeds.
So not one brother should fail while another one is succeed. So you should be lending a hand. Kind of almost the same format as us in this faith. You should love your neighbor like you love yourself. If I'm rich, and of course the brothers I'm laboring around, which I hear the brothers, Great Millstone, they said it, man, if I was to hit millions, I'm breaking it off with the brothers in this truth, which makes sense. That's the great way to do. You share the wealth, and allows us to deal with our situation and continue to serve Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. This brother dealing with rent, car, and this and that. Man, you put 100,000 in his pocket, that might help him for a little bit. But guess what? You giving this out to other brothers, and we all got money in our pockets to handle what we got to handle. It puts a little of the pressure down. This is what these elites is doing. This is why they're becoming rich after they're filthy rich. Then they trying to go digital, getting filthy rich. They're creating freaking lotto, and they saying we in debt. They're rich, creating a currency, right? But wealth is not only a dollar. Wealth is not only just gold and silver. Wealth, it goes into multiple things. So again, the wicked, they sharing wealth, they sharing power, they sharing control, all against Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, and the elect Israelites. Okay, so let's go to Ecclesiastes real quick because we're about to close. The 4th chapter and verse 12, it says, "And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him. And a threefold cord is not quickly broken. In the NLT, a person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. And guess what? The wicked use unity for evil. That's why the Lord made a righteous balance, the righteous and the wicked. And you got to know, the left-hand side, most cases, is orchestrating the same thing that the right is doing, but only in wickedness. The angels on the left hand is the sinister side, and the right hand is the righteous side. And they're handing the bidding in righteousness, and they're handing the bidding in wickedness. In some way, when you sit back, when we even go in this truth, when we talk about unity, majority's wicked show a form of unity when you have a group on this side agreeing and then this side agreeing, and they're like, man, we don't agree with them, but we all agree. That's a form of unity. But yes, the main target and problem is Yahweh Shema Shai and their elect. We got to come together and put our powers together so we can defeat a higher enemy. That's why when we go into second Ezra, the 13th chapter, verse 31, when it says realm against realm, this is one realm. It don't matter what country, what kingdom you are part of. This is one realm. The realm Yahweh Shai and the angels coming from is another realm. So this whole realm is going to have to be in unity to fight against Yahweh Shai, the angels, and the elect. Plain. But soon Yahweh Shema Shai will break their confederacy. Daniel, the second chapter, verse 44 to 45. That stone that's carved out with hands is going to destroy all of them. Revelations 19, Yahweh Shai going to have many crowns. It's already said. You niggas is done. Okay? Even Edomite elites that appear to be enemies, Democrats, right, versus Republicans, they all go back to the same source, right, to the elites. Nations versus nations, corporations versus corporations. That money go back, like Vanguard and BlackRock. Those are the top investors really in the world, but the top investors in the United States. Then they're all your little favorite candy, your favorite pop, your favorite video games. They all in BlackRock and Vanguard invest in majority of everything every person used probably in the United States. Either if it's food, if it's dealing with media, if it's dealing with electronics, they have invested in it. Okay? Still unity when it comes to war, money, control, and suppressing truth. Just like the scripture said. You know? They can pay somebody to suppress some truth. Just like what they do with the industry. You got people buying plays. Hey, yo, look, play me 50 times. Hey, oh, they just said this truth. I want you to block it. Diddy did it before. News that come out, they try to cancel it right away. You got the Jay-Z and them being at, what's his name? They can either ignore it or try to strip it. They can strip it. But really, anything that's promoting the news is scripted. Scripted. And sometimes, even if it's scripted, it could be set up just to make somebody on the other side. Look, I need you to I need you to follow order. Salaki, I got the twist tonguer is today. I need you to follow what I'm telling you. If you're not going to do it, I'm going to air this out. You ain't following the procedure, they going to air out some news on you. Oh my goodness, why they did it. And then when you see that thing disappear, most likely they reneged and they consented. Okay. You can play on my backside. Okay, I get it. I'll do it. That's how they getting us. The elites run this whole system. But the main point of this lesson was about when he said be in unity. And they did become in unity when it came to the point of this video. To go make these banks and go here and go here. You do these loans, you're going to be important. Which it was true. It gave the blueprint for all banking systems. So when you really look at it with the truth, us that's really in this faith, we should be in unity. Because the wicked is growing, and their wickedness is about to become even stronger in the earth because they want their plans to go through. Of course, their own plan is going to fall on them own selves, but they're going to initiate it. They're going to push the button. They're going to force it. And any Jake that's blind to see, The Lord allowed you to be in slumber where you can't see this. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who rule well and teach well through the Spirit. A mighty shalom to the hopeful elect in the same Spirit. Lord willing, as a whole, y'all all continue in sound doctrine. Shalom to the Aquaf, the sisters of His faith and His truth. Lord willing, that you continue to pursue your lot. And Lord willing, this edifying lesson through the power and spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. The wicked work together in unity against righteousness. Shalom, shalom, abba, abba.